Hey gals and guys, sorry in advance for the subpar audio quality in this episode. John's mic was acting up and we couldn't really do anything about it at the time. We also didn't want to postpone the sneak peek for yet another week, so we all have to live with this one. Sometimes this stuff happens, but we hope you will enjoy the episode regardless. So without further ado... Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your undercover hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Today we will put on a disguise and join the Forger spy family on a mission for world peace and to get their daughter into a prestigious school. But before that, we of course will brief you on all the super secret premieres that we have checked out in the sneak peek. So grab your spy gadgets and hidden ciphers and don't pause the pod. We'll be right back. Alright, yeah, season premiere. So of course we have a bunch of, season premieres to talk about in our sneak peek. So we're going to do that. And as usual for first-time listeners, what we have in the sneak peek is our three sections. The nopes, the maybes, and the keepers, so respectively shows we will not keep on watching, shows we might keep on watching, shows we probably will keep watching. I think this time around, John, we don't really have any nopes, correct?
I know I don't. I've gotten to the point where I filter out every single show on Live Chart that is tagged as either light novel or isekai, so...
Wait, but then maybe you would have skipped one of our possible keepers. I'm interested to see your list then.
Okay, no, that's different. That's an exception because it's something I had previously watched.
That's true. Yes. All right. Yeah. So it's pre-filtering for new shit. Yeah. Smart choice, probably.
Because there's so much.
Yeah. Speaking of light novels, let's just get into it with my first maybe then, because that's bordering on a nope. And that is the fourth season of Overlord. Well,
it's so wild because you were so into it when it first came out, and it's just been sliding downhill ever since.
Yes, well, mainly in its third season, really. The main thing I'm hung up on, because the third season, our main character, Ainz, did some really vile shit. I guess as he's supposed to be, because he's kind of a villain, right? He's kind of bad guy, but I thought they wanted to subvert that, and keep him kind of an anti-hero. But he and his lackeys did some really, really bad shit in the third season. It was really heinous. And I was like, okay, you can't walk that back. Now you have to make him the villain, make another character, the main character, and then have that character destroy Ainz. And that's going to be the rest of the story. But they don't seem to be interested to do that, at least not judging from the first episode. It's just shenanigans with Ainz and his crew again, with Albedo mostly, because she's still super horny for him. Which is fine in itself, and it's funny, and this is okay, and it's good stuff, but that means I would have to ignore what happened in the third season, and maybe that's the reason why there was such a long break between season 3 and 4, that Madhouse wanted the people to forget, so they would still keep on watching the show, so, they could still root for Ainz. But
all those bad things that happened, don't worry about it.
Yeah, nice try, Madhouse. I didn't forget. I mean, I forgot a lot, but I didn't forget the worst stuff. So if they don't turn this around and make him like the clear-cut bad guy now after like 3 episodes, I'm out, because I'm not. You can't walk that back. The third season, the stuff he did to the people invading his castle was horrible. I get it. They were trespassers, but a lot of those people were really good guys. And the show went out of its way to show that they are good guys. And then he murdered them in the most horrific, violent, brutal, torturous way. Just because he was pissed that they were invading his castle. I get it. He's a bad guy, kind of. But the show still paints him like this anti-hero. Now he isn't that anymore, so I I can't keep on watching a show with a main character that the show wants me to root for when he did what he did in the third season. So that's the whole thing. I don't know if they might, give us a new character that I can attach my sympathies to. They did. I think one of the characters from the third season survived, and my assumption was that she's gonna be the new focus character, and she's gonna be the one who ultimately beats Ainz and destroys him. But we'll see. So far, she hasn't appeared yet in the first episode. So that's pretty much it. If the focus is still on Ainz and it's like, hey, he's actually a funny nerd and but also a bad guy, ha ha ha. And if that's just what the show is gonna keep doing, then I'm gonna jump ship. So yeah, it's right now still a maybe, but it might become a nope. John, what is your first maybe?
Lycoris Recoil.
Ah, yes, I've heard about this.
Because A1 can actually do good work outside of sword art. Did you know that? I didn't.
I did. They did Magi. At least for a while, and there's some other stuff. If I'm not mistaken, they also did Erased. Wasn't that an A1 show?
Yes.
So, yeah. So, yes, they can do good stuff if they want to. And I think the most recent example would be 86. I think there's also an A1 show. But yes, it's a flip of the coin with those guys. That's true.
But yeah, basically, Shingo Adachi, who did a lot of the directorial work on Sword Art, said, hey, I want to adapt this show about girls who work in a cafe by day but are actually kind of sort of secret police by night.
So it's a bit like, what was that ninja show called? Spy and Spice?
Release the Spice.
Release the Spice, right. Spy and Spice was the OP. So it's a bit like that, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. It centers around these two girls, Chisato and Takina. Takina was just kind of thrown out of this big organization because some of her comrades in arms were being held at gunpoint by terrorists, and she took matters into her own hands, and it didn't go down very well. All of this was supposed to lead to finding out information about an arms deal, but the intel got botched, and maybe there's something a little deeper under the surface that we don't know about. They sort of hint at the system is not as pure as we think it is. Shock.
Why would it be?
Shock for what is essentially a cop drama. But yeah, I will say that this show is incredibly pretty. Like, wow. Some of the action sequences are wild. This show has the production value to back it up. I'm not 100% on board with some of it so far. Like, in the first episode, Chisato was shooting some guys with but the bullets aren't lethal. But one of them was able to pierce through a car door, but they're not lethal.
That is weird.
Don't worry about it. Shut up.
Maybe the skin of characters in this universe is stronger than iron.
I mean, it's not like they're like robots or anything. No, they were actual like humans. But Chisato has this thing about like she's this like angle going on where it's like, yeah, well, these are people too. Chisato, they're literally terrorists. Please. Please. But I don't know, the dynamic between her and Takina, who's like super serious like all the time, I think there's something to that. Also, in like the fourth episode, we have the return of Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, the villain, which he is really good at hamming that sort of roll up. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I don't know if it's a keeper though.
Yeah, but sounds fun.
Yeah. So, what you got next?
My next maybe is a show you also checked out, I think, which is the new RWBY show. Ice Queendom, or what it's called. I haven't watched any of the original RWBY stuff from Rooster Teeth, the Monty Ohm show, because it always seemed like, hey, cool action scenes, maybe for its time, but also the rest looks really... it was a fan project, so that's fine. I guess for that it looks good, but I was never super enticed and like, okay, I don't know if the writing is really any good or stuff like that. So,
I watched the first season book volume, however they refer to it, whatever. And then I just kind of fell off the train after that. But, I think they're like on season 8, 9. 10.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Okay.
And, I played a little Blaze Blue Cross tag. They're in there.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
And I had started to check out that Grim Eclipse game. I think it's like a multiplayer action game. So, there's that as well. RWBY has become big, is the point.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And, well, I think especially in Japan, you've been seeing some stuff with that over there a lot. And yeah, I always wanted to, dip my toe into that a bit, like just, check it out. What is it about? What is the main setup and everything? So this is basically a kind of fantasy show, maybe steampunk-ish a bit, maybe. I'm not quite sure how to define it. A bit sci-fi, a bit of everything. And the four main characters are girls with special weapons and everything. And there's some awesome fights in the first episode. Look really good. And yeah, I was into what I saw. I don't know if it will hold my interest. I don't know if if the story will do anything. So far, it seems a bit flat in terms of what it's trying to do, but it also hasn't really shown its hand yet. Really, like what is even the point? Why are they all entering this academy that they are doing? What's up with the dust? The energy source apparently in this universe. What's up with the Grimm, the monsters? But the fight scenes were cool. The music was cool. I think Gen Urobuchi is supervising this, or is doing the series composition for this. So that is reason enough for me, I guess, to stick around for a while to see what he does with this. So yeah, I'm interested to keep on going. I just don't know what is waiting down the road and if it's for me. So yeah, I don't know. How about you?
I've kind of been wanting to try and get back into it. Maybe this will help push me in that direction. But, I'm here for more good Shaft animation stuff. So
yes, who isn't? When Chef delivers, they do deliver. So that's it looked really good. I hope they can keep up the level of quality, which isn't always a safe thing with them as well, I believe. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of moments in between, but I feel like it's not enough to be super distracting.
No, not at all. It was generally a pretty high level thing. I mean, it was some shoddy CG here and there, but it's fine. I was surprised that the giant knight armor thing that Vice was battling in the first episode wasn't CG. It's like, right? Wow, okay, that's cool. All right, so what is your next maybe, John? I mean, that also was one of your maybes, but whatever.
Yes. Buchigire, or I guess it's sort of localizing it. Shine on, Bakumatsu bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the localized name longer? Okay, all right. So the story is that all but one of the members of the Shinsengumi have been killed by this group of bandits called the Masked Demons. And now on death row, these 7 criminals are chosen as substitutes for these deceased Shinsengumi members. And I don't know how good of an idea that is, but I guess when you're about to get killed, the choice is a no-brainer.
Of course.
But one of the characters, Ichiban Boshi, takes up the name Kondo Isami because he wants to go after the masked demons to avenge the death of his parents. And it's this quite literally colorful band of criminals who are out to kind of, sort of, but not really turn their lives around because they still kind of play by their own book. But it seems like it could at least be fun to watch. I mean, this is Geno Studios' newest joint, and it's a pretty good-looking one. I mean, it's coming off of their past work on Golden Kamuy, and you can see that they have been able to put in, a lot more polish in there.
Yeah, I think the first thing we saw of them was, I forgot what that show was called, which wasn't great and didn't look great.
Kokoku, Moment to Moment, whatever.
Yes, exactly. But Golden Kamuy got better and better, which makes both of us sad that changed studios.
And directors.
And everything, basically.
I think except for the lead writer.
Yeah, which is important.
Yes.
You know, you want your adaptation in good writing hands, but still, you also need a very capable director and at least decent looking animation, so we'll see where that goes. But I mean yeah.
Brainspace is...
Yes.
They have a decent track record.
That is true. I mean, you just have to look at To Your Eternity, right? So,
which is weird that To Your Eternity has changed for its second season.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like we're just let them let the show stay with the studios they started with. What are you?
I mean, contracts and whatnot. Yes. You know, I guess
it's sometimes sometimes the studios don't want to work on this particular IP anymore. See Studio with Attack on Titan. That can also happen. But yeah, or Vinland Saga, and probably Ranking of Kings. So it can happen. But yeah, it seems like Gino is doing a good job with this one, right?
Yeah, no, the first few episodes have looked really surprisingly good so far. So, and it seems goofy enough to keep me hanging around. But I'm interested. I think the show is an original. I don't think it's based off of a manga or anything. So I'm interested to see how they go about getting Ichiban Boshi's revenge and the backstories of the other characters and whatnot. So there's some potential with this, I think. So what you got?
Yurei Deco, which is the new show by Studio Science Saru, so Masaki Yuasa studio, who last time we talked about them was Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, I think. If I'm not mistaken, which was a cool show, very cool show, visually very cool, and so is this one. It's weird as fuck and has a very unique art style, which is what I expected from Science Saru. So this is that. I don't even know who's responsible writing wise, if it's a Yuasa show or if it's something else, someone else. But so it's about this girl Barry who lives in this weird AR town, like augmented reality. I think everyone has like a lens in their eye at least, or an implant or something, so they can see. The town is pretty standard, but they have like these overlays with digital art and everything. And there is a currency in this AR town. It's basically likes, but here they call it love. So literally, all the characters go around and say, "I don't have enough love in my life." We get it. So yeah, so it's basically what everything is paid for within this AR world and everything.
I'm looking at the opening theme is called One Septillion Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I'm reading this number of zeros correctly.
Yeah, that might be the case. So yeah, there's a bunch of ways you can get more love in this thing, and Barry is intent on solving the mystery of Phantom Zero, who is like this weird apparition that appears. Nobody knows what it is. Some call it a hoax, a mystery, whatever. That appears sometimes in the city, and wherever it appears, all the love is reduced to zero. And yeah, she wants to solve the mystery of that, and through that get a lot more, love currency. And she stumbles over a kid. We haven't gotten its name yet, but I looked the cast list up on Anime News Network, and I think his name is Hack or Huck, because this story apparently is also somehow related to Huckleberry Finn. The town they're in is called Tom Sawyer. So
Okay, well, there you go.
Yes. So the problem is I haven't read Huck Finn, so I don't really know anything about that story and how it relates to that. Maybe it's something in the lines of, I don't know, very loose adaptation, something like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? With the George Clooney, which was a kind of adaptation of the Greek poem of the Odyssey. So maybe it's something like that, where it takes some inspiration of the original source material and then constructs a loose story around it. I don't know. Maybe there's some actual through-line parallels. So far, it's not clear yet. It's not even really clear in any way where the story will go. Right now, they're just trying to solve the mystery around Phantom Zero. And Hack or Huck is a very weird has like this very weird manner of talking. Like he gives everything like these little nicknames and special inflections. So he talks in a very weird way. It's sometimes kind of annoying, actually. So yeah, I don't know where it's going yet. It looked very interesting. It was very unique, but I don't know if the story is for me because right now I can't even tell what that story will be. Maybe it's just a fun little adventure story. Maybe there's more to it. But there already seems to be some commentary on our current way of living and everything in there. So that's that always catches my eye. So yeah, sure. I'll keep on watching it for a couple of more episodes and then decide. It has potential, but maybe it's too weird for me. Maybe it's not interesting enough, and there's not enough of a read through line. So we'll see. But yeah, interesting show for now. John, I believe you don't have any more maybes left, so
correct.
We can do my last maybe, which is also maybe a keeper. So we're kind of flowing into the next section here.
Okay.
Consider this a half keeper, because I think I'm going to stick with this because it's really up my alley, but also it's 80s/90s as fuck. I don't know what year the original came out. I didn't look it up, but I
think I have an idea.
Yes, but I sure feel like that's from that era. It's Bastard, heavy metal, dark fantasy. Already this season's most kick-ass OP song, probably, by Coltrane. But
it's pretty good.
It's pretty damn good. But yeah, this is based on an old... I think there was an old manga and already an old anime adaptation, which I didn't see. I saw an AMV of Bastard. I remember that, which was a song by Camelot, I think they used, which was pretty great.
I mean, I had heard the name of the show, like the old one before, and I was just like, I always sort of knew it existed, but now there's this new one coming out, and it's on Netflix.
Yeah, sadly. But that also means already, I think either the entire first season or the first half of the first season have already completely aired. So I might even put that whatever in our quick and the dead of this season, but probably not. I'll probably keep it until next season just to stay with the form. Even if it's already finished. And I have another show on this list that has the same problem, quote unquote, and a bunch of other problems. But yeah, Bastard is basically, well, it's in the title. It's heavy metal and it's dark fantasy. So those are two things I like a lot. So the story setup is basically like, it's set in the far future, kind of post-apocalyptic. When her kingdom is attacked, the daughter of a high priest, her name is Yoko, uses her virgin kiss to awaken the reincarnated evil wizard Dark Schneider.
Oh my god.
Because he cuts the dark, get it?
It's so chuny, it hurts.
Yes, who has been sealed into the body of her childhood friend Lucien. But aside from protecting her, Dark Schneider has not really any interest in being a savior to the world and would rather have some destructive fun instead. Because he's a dark, evil wizard.
Do you blame him?
No, not at all. And he seems like a fun guy. A bit of an ass, but a fun guy in the 80s/90s kind of sense. There's lots of blood, lots of big boobs. Not as many naked ones. I think in the old OVA there was a lot more naked flesh, but in here they're covered up. But yeah, a banging metal soundtrack, as you would expect, and lots of metal and rock references. So this is basically the Guilty Gear before Guilty Gear. The dark fantasy version, anyway. Yeah,
I was watching some clips with some of the spell names, and I was like, come on.
Yes, there was already name drops for Metallica. I think the country there is like called Metallica or something like that. There was Megadeth in one of the spells.
Yeah.
One of the bad guys is called Osborne. So
Jesus.
There you go. This is if you like that shit in in Guilty Gear, you will like it in here probably. It's definitely up my alley for the soundtrack alone, and the animation is pretty damn good, at least in its first episode. So yeah, I liked it. The only problem that might keep me from watching it more than a couple of episodes is there's already like this. Dark Schneider and Yoko have kind of this Kagome Inuyasha dynamic going, and nobody wants that. But Dark Schneider seems more of a cool guy than Inuyasha is, who's just not as much of an annoying brat. He's just more of I'll deal with it because I kind of like you, Yoko, so I will protect you. But I just kind of want to be an ass to everyone else and be destructive and just have a lot of fun with throwing enormous giant spells at everyone that kill everything.
As you do. As you do.
So, yeah, he's a fun guy. Yoko is also kind of fun. She's not as annoying as Kagome. So, it seems to be fun. I think what they might do and what might get old is, like I said in the summary before, part of releasing the seal for Dark Schneider is a virgin kiss. So, I assume the show is going to make a thing about, hey, Dark Schneider wants to stay in this body, so he can't be kissed again by a virgin when he is Dark Schneider. And that happened in the first episode. He kisses her and then gets, turned back into Lucian. So I assume the next time he gets, released, he doesn't want that to happen again. So he's probably tried to do something about that virginity thing of Yoko. So if that's going to be a main plot point in every episode, he's just going to try to do the dirty deeds with her, I'm going to be annoyed. So we'll see. But then again, there are probably more virgins in this country, so he's in danger anyway. Yuko just needs to find one, even if they fuck. So whatever. We'll see.
I guess if you want to keep with the metal theme, I guess it would be a dirty deed done dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Well done. But yes, this is up my alley. It's cheesy. It's 80s/90s. It's heavy metal. It's dark fantasy. Most of all, it's fun. It felt very tongue in cheek in its first episode. It knew exactly what it was and just went full ham. So that's what I want from this kind of show. And I got it. So if that stays the same and no annoying plot points just wiggle their way into this, then I'll stick with it. But that's why it's maybe still a bit of a maybe. But most of what I saw was keeper material in the first episode, so it's fun. And it's all out, so I'll probably know pretty quickly if this is something I want or not. All right, John, what is your first keeper?
First keeper, actually, all of my keepers are continuations of shows now that I look at it. Two of which are several years old and we've not talked about before.
Yes.
The first is Classroom of the Elite, Season 2. I kind of watched the first season on a whim, I don't know, a year or two ago, and it's all about this young man, Kiyotaka Ayanokoji. And he is enrolled in the Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing Senior High School.
Uh-huh.
And in this school, it said that 100% of the students who go there go on to college or find incredible levels of employment. But he ends up in class 1D, which is filled with all of his classes, problem kids and jerks and losers and whatnot. And the classes go in rank, DCBA. And the way this system works is the students are kind of competing for what are called personal points and class points. Class points can be used to raise the ranking of your class. So 1D can turn into 1C, and that would force C down to D. You see what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and this is tallied up every month, and students are given I believe it's 100,000 personal points, which is interesting that these personal points have buying power. And 1 point is equivalent to 1 yen. So you can use it to buy supplies. You can use it to buy, books, whatever. You can use it to buy certain favors within the system, but some favors might cost way more than others. And this is a show just all about outplaying everybody else around you and just trying to make your way to the top by any means necessary. The meme, ha ha ha. But this is a show all about deceit, and there's some it's very much a thriller story, and the way Ayano Koji is trying to outplay the people in the other classes, as well as some of the people within his own class as well, is interesting to watch, because he comes across as this very plain, deadpan character, but he's also very cold and calculating. And I just think it's this really interesting show about trying to, watch these characters trying to figure out, how they can do better for themselves, but also realizing that they have to work as a team, because the start of the current season has this mind game going on where there's a character from each class who's designated as a VIP. And their classes are broken up into different teams where they meet with parts of the other classes, and they have to try and suss out who the VIP is in their group. And that leads to, if you can figure it out, you get so many points. If you can't figure it out, the VIP gets so many points. If you guess incorrectly, it has these consequences, sort of thing. So it's the mind games in this show are real. I kind of incorrectly guessed one of the twists at the start of the second season, but then I sort of was like, well, I guess it must be this instead. So I think it's a really neat show for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, because it has been a minute since the first season, and there's a third season that's already planned for next year. So I'm glad to see that they came back to this and are keeping it rolling. This was a show that, when did the first season air? 2017. Okay, so not as long ago as another show we're going to talk about, but it's been a minute. So I'm glad to see that they decided to bring it back.
Uneasy alliances are fun.
So what you got for a keeper?
Well, it's a reluctant keeper, sadly, because I was sure it would be a surefire one. So one of my absolute favorite anime movies of all time is Spriggan from the late 90s. I would have to look it up. It was directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, the guy who did a little movie called Akira. And
never heard of it.
Who has? But yeah, Spriggan is probably one of his lesser-known works, I guess. But I love that movie. I think it's great. And that is based on a manga, and that manga now got a new adaptation from Netflix and David Production. So I saw the trailer. I was understandably hype, and it's good. Like, it's, of course, following the manga more closely, while the movie mashed up like two of the manga's volumes or manga chapters into one movie that didn't necessarily have anything to do with each other, and they just, turned that into one story for one movie. I think it was the second, the second episode of this new anime is doing parts of the movie story, and there's probably one coming down the road that's doing the other half of that. But yeah, I didn't expect an animation on the level of the movie, because that would be ridiculous. It's one of the best looking anime movies in existence, in my opinion. So I didn't expect that. What I did hope for is that we wouldn't have any ugly CG garbage in it, or not too much of it. But sadly, David Production targeted me specifically and wanted to disappoint me specifically.
Oh no.
So, you and some of his opponents or faceless soldiers are CG in some of the action scenes. For some reason I don't get. And it sticks out as much as you'd expect. Why are you still doing this, companies? Like, to save money probably, I get it. But then a scene later, you see some really cool traditionally animated scene of you taking out a kidnapper, and you're like, why wouldn't you have it all look like this? I mean, most of the conversation scenes are still like traditionally animated all the way through, but you have some weird mix and match there, where one model is traditionally animated and the other one isn't, and it's so jarring. You have like this one enemy that, like I said, traditionally animated, the other one is CG, and then they fight, and it's like you see it, and you're like, why do it? What advantage does that give you? Like, apparently you can animate properly the one guy, why not the other guy? It's there in the same scene, And you're not using that model, CG model, anymore, because that's a disposable villain, and he's dead after this episode. So why would you go to the trouble to making this model and then not using it anymore in the show for a scene where there's also a traditionally animated character in there? I'm already getting too much into this. This is for the full review, but I have some thoughts about this show already. And why? Because I was looking forward to it a lot. A goddamn lot, because like I said, I love the old movie, so I was hoping for a good adaptation, and in parts it is. Like, it moves along, it has a brisk pace, the voice acting is great, and most of the, all of the traditional animation is great. Again, it's just the CG that is the problem. And of course Netflix, because I checked out, I was a fool and checked out the first episode on Netflix, and the subtitles are fucking laggy. How are the fan sub crews still better at timing the subs than the official streaming services who get money for this shit? It boggles the mind. Netflix, get your shit together. What the hell? Anyway, sorry. It's just, I don't get it. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know anything about Spriggan, it's basically about this organization who unearths old artifacts. I think it's called... No, Black Technology was, I think, in Full Metal Panic. I don't know what it's called here, but there's like these artifacts all around the world who were left behind by this old, very advanced civilization, and they use these artifacts to make science fiction-y weapon stuff. And of course, there are other organizations after this, after these artifacts, and this our organization, like the good organization Arkham, is trying to protect these artifacts, basically. And for that, they have like a couple of special agents, and our main character, Yu Omina, is one of them, a so-called Spriggan. And he has like this really cool body armor that gives him, with artificial muscle fiber, that gives him like super strength. So he's a bit of a James Bond, a bit of a, I don't know, some kind of superhero. So it's really cool. Like, it's a really cool setup, and there's some fun missions that's going. It's very Metal Gear Solid in a lot of parts. On steroids, though. Or like I said, James Bond in a way. Like the villains, the toys you gets to play with, the historical fiction stuff. He even has his own queue. It's neat. If you're into Metal Gear Solid, I'm pretty sure you'll like Spriggan, at least when it comes to design and tone and stories to an extent. And yeah, I loved Spriggan as a movie. I liked what I read of the manga, and I was really looking forward to the show. It's just sad that apparently they cut some corners. So that's a bummer, and it wasn't necessary. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Like, at least Hiroshi Seko is doing the screenplay, and he's probably one of the best adaptive screenwriters, if not the best in anime. So,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's in good hands for most of it. It's just some of the stuff in the battle scenes that's in there in the normal scenes. It's like, why would you do it like that? It makes no... It can't save that much money.
Well, any cost you can cut, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. But in some cases, you shouldn't. It's every time there's traditional animated action scene in there, it looks so good. And then you have like this weird CG component in some, and it looks so stiff. And you're like, don't you see that this doesn't that take you out of the show? Don't you have the eyes to see that? I don't understand. It's not on Berserk level, God forbid, but it's, for CG, it's decent, even good in some parts, but just, combining these two things is always a bad idea, because then the CG sticks out even more. So, yeah, it's weird. Like, I get the CG for Model for You, I guess. If they wanted to keep it on, save some money there, they could probably use it for some of the wilder camera movement, and there's some great camera movement in the show. But, for the enemies and everything, it just was really weird choice. Anyway, so it's a reluctant keeper. Of course, I will finish this anime because it's one of my most anticipated anime in a long while. But I probably will complain even more than I complain now when I review it. So, brace yourselves. Anyway, John, I hope your next keeper is a bit more of a positive thing than mine.
It's a show that we waited 9 years for.
Well, we didn't really wait for it because we thought it would never get a second season.
Right, and everybody memed about it. It's like, oh yeah, this show's definitely getting a second season. And then there was like whispers of it for a while, and then there was like, talks about this and that and the other thing. And then they just straight announced, So the second season of The Devil is a Part-Timer is coming in summer 2022, and I didn't believe it at first.
Me neither.
And yeah, it's here. It's real.
Here we are.
Actually real.
It's real. McRonald's is back. And Jungle JP and Unislow.
Oh my god. So this was the isekai exception that we alluded to earlier.
Yeah, well, it's a reverse isekai, so...
Yes. Because the Demon King Satan, when facing demise at the hands of the hero Emilia, has no choice but to flee to another world with his Demon King Alciel. And they arrive where else but in Japan, because what else?
Without money, though, that's the problem.
With no money and no magic. So Satan takes the name Mao Sadao, and he becomes a shift worker at Ronald's. Yes, that. Can't say the name. Can't say the name, or else the clown will come after us.
Yeah. Don't risk it. He's already waiting in the gutter.
And it's this story of kooky shenanigans where Amelia followed them as well, and she's an office worker, and she's living a much nicer life than... With
air conditioning.
Yes, with air conditioning, and she's got a much nicer life, making a lot more money than Mao is with Alciel, who's become his roommate, and eventually one of his other demon generals, Lucifer. Because everybody is named after the devil, I guess.
Yes, and they get new names. Like, Asiel is Ashia now. I don't know what Lucifer's name became.
Ushihara, I believe?
Yeah, maybe.
It's close enough. Shut up. Don't worry about it.
It's a work comedy, kinda. And reverse isekai stuff. The Emilia and the Mao meet at some point, and of course they still got beef with each other, but also maybe some other stuff going on, and Mao is kind of super invested at some point at actually getting better at his job and become, I don't know, manager or whatever. So, I don't know. It's really funny in parts, and what they have to, what Ashia especially has to put up with. That poor guy.
I feel bad for Ashia.
He's still the best. He was the best in the first season, I think, and he's still the best here. At least what I remember from the first season. I didn't revisit it, but it turns out I kind of didn't have to. Like, I mean, the second season immediately picks up where we left off, but it does a pretty good job of reacquainting us with the characters, what their deal is. Lucifer is a NEET, Ashia is the fuzzy housemate kind of guy, and, Mao is, working at McDonald's. And
Chiho totally wants to jump into Mao's pants.
Oh, damn right, yes. And, yeah, so...
and there's no two ways about it. Like, in other anime, you'd be like, maybe... No, that is absolutely the case.
She wants the MD. So I didn't quite remember what happened at the end of the first season, because I think someone from the other world invaded. I think it was Sariel, who now has gained some weight.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know who he was pining for. Was he pining after Chi or...
I think it was for the manager
boss?
At the
Yes.
McDonald's.
Yes, exactly. So that's he went there every day and ordered like 10 meals. Well, he looks the way he does now, but yeah, I think Mao kind of saved everyone at the end of the first season, which was like a nice twist. Oh, well, okay. The devil can be a savior too. So yeah, that's where we left off, and now it's like, hey, who else is maybe gonna come over and cause trouble? And then a child appears on the doorstep, which is apparently the child of Mao and of Emilia for some reason. Maybe from the future, we don't know. Maybe it's all a con. But yeah, it was really funny seeing everyone's reaction to it as well, and also fighting a cockroach, I guess.
Referring to it by its scientific name.
Yes, because,
I was like, what is this bit? What are they talking about? And then the cockroach appears, and I was like, oh, okay, all right.
It was really interesting to hear the thing they said about their workplace, where they don't call certain things in front of the customers.
Yeah.
Where, cockroaches they call them taros, and they call the toilet washing place or something like that. So because you don't want
washroom.
washroom because you don't want to say certain things in front of customers who order food at your place. That's really interesting, and I want to believe, at least in Japan, that's actually a thing.
Makes sense, kinda.
Yes, that was neat, and overall, the comedy still hits. It's a really funny show. The animation is great, and yeah, that is a keeper for now. I don't see me dropping this show because it's like, holy shit, yeah, Devil is a Part-Timer is back after such a fucking long time, and we were all happy that it finally happened, even though we didn't expect it at all anymore. So, yeah, I hope there's probably a lot of material left, so I hope they don't leave us hanging for quite so long once this season is finished this time around.
Would be nice.
Yeah, please try to follow this up more quickly.
I'm really glad they got Minami Kuribayashi back on to do the opening theme again after so long.
Yeah.
It's little touches like that, you know?
Yes, exactly. It feels like the people care. I don't know if it's exactly the same crew. Probably not. Probably some changes made in the cast and crew, but
it looks like it's some of the same writing team, but it's a different director and obviously a different studio.
I didn't even look at that. I didn't even know if it was a different studio or not, because it felt like the animation level was pretty much close to what season 1 was. So yeah. If you like war comedy, if you like, maybe even if you don't like isekai anymore, like, you know, we, like we do.
Grizzled veterans of the genre.
Yes, exactly. This is one of those where it's like, no, make an exception for that, because this is a funny, smart show, and it's got some nice twists to the formula and everything, and it's more kind of about like satirizing the genre and everything, and yeah. It's a really fun show. So, and I assume it will stay that way for its runtime for this season. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing more. I assume that's the case for you as well, John.
Oh, for sure.
All right, then we'll get to my last keeper, and that is, of course, the second season of Made in Abyss, titled Golden City of the Scorching Sun. The kids are back. The gang is back. The kids are, for now, all right, I guess. Riko, Ram, and Nanachi. We'll see how long it stays that way, because I'm ready for that series to fuck me up all over again, just like season 1, and especially the movie did. Holy fuck, that movie. And I haven't talked about the movie yet. I have talked about the series, about the first season, and it was one of my favorites. If I didn't pick it as my best of the season, I probably did it because I was like, there's gonna be a second season anyway. Didn't expect it to take so long for the second season to come around. So I'm going to just choose that. So that might happen. But in between, there was also a movie. And that, holy fucking shit, Dawn of the Deep Soul is such a bummer of a movie. It's a good movie, but you will not get out of there with good feelings. So I will talk about that when I review the second season, because, you know, the movie is part of that, and I haven't talked about it yet. So there's going to be spoilers for that. There's going to be spoilers for everything. But yeah, looking forward to this season. There's probably going to be some really harsh herring shit in there, just like there was in the previous outings of the show, because that's what Made in Abyss is. It's putting these poor kids through a lot of shit. And yeah, but also amazing fantasy scenery. The soundtrack by Kevin Penkin immediately kicked my ass again. Like, what a talent. Holy shit. Like, it's so good. Like, in the first couple of minutes of the first episode, you're like, what the fuck? This is so good. Like, and like I said, the artwork, the animation, Kinema Citrus going all out again. Just, yes, give it to me. It's so good. So I loved the first season of this. I liked, quote unquote, the movie.
As much as you could, I guess.
As much as I can with that kind of material. But yeah, and I'm really interested to see where the story is going. There's still a lot of mysteries. You know, some have been solved, but there's still a lot of mysteries. We're still only at the 6th layer now of the Abyss. So there's still a bunch of them to go. I don't even remember how many there were, 10 or something. But yeah, there are a bunch.
About to be my question, actually.
Yes. I don't even know if they start at the first layer and then go deeper and deeper. I think that's how it worked, yeah. I don't know what the last layer is, though. It might be 10, it might be 12, not sure. The setup for this is very RPG-ish, and that's what the writer of the manga thought about when he created that story. So that makes sense. It totally feels like that, how a lot of the mechanics work in this show and everything with the curse and stuff like that. So, yeah, we will talk more about that once this season has wrapped up. But it's a really good show. It's a really good looking show. It's just like, you need to brace yourself for some really deeply emotional, hurtful shit in this show, because that's what Made in Abyss is. It's really, it's horror. It's a horror show, really. That's what it is. And substantial horror. It's not like cheap jump scares or anything. No, this show puts you and the characters through the ringer. Like, the half of the first season is that, and the other half is cool fantasy stuff and nice adventure stuff. But there's a lot of deep horror shit in there, and the movie is all horror. It's terrifying, it's a nightmare, and it's really sad. And I expect the second season to do more of all of that. So we'll see. If you have a strong stomach and you like good character writing and you love adventure shit and you love RPGs and you love good character designs, you love good animation, you love an amazing soundtrack, then Jesus Christ, check out Made in Abyss. But if you're squeamish when it comes to blood and kids getting hurt and stuff like that, then maybe stay away, because this show doesn't pull any punches, just as a warning. But I love this show. I think it's great. And I have a strong stomach, so I can deal with that. But even I, at certain points, especially during the movie, was like, I think I need to pause. I think I need to take a break and walk away for a couple of minutes, because holy fucking shit.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Holy fuck. Anyway, but yeah. I still recommend it if you can deal with this kind of stuff, just as a warning. But it's a fantastic show. It's a stellar show. So it's definitely one of my keepers. It's the show I've been looking forward to the most for this season. So of course it's at the top of my list here. John, do you have any keepers left?
I have two that are real quick blow-throughs.
No, go for it.
So, finally, at last, reached the conclusion of Love Live.
I don't believe you.
Well, that's because that's when Love Live starts. That's right. The cycle continues anew. Nichigasaki High School Idol Club Season 2 ended. And then Love Live Superstar Season 2 just dumped straight in. I am contractually obligated at this point to continue watching.
Yes.
I
have the Anime Brand Freeze contract here. It says John must watch each new incarnation of Love Live, otherwise he will be dumped as a co-host, and I have to find a new one, because it would be a grave breach of contract.
Oh no. No.
Just so you know, John.
So, I know how I was saying in the first time around, I thought it was interesting how they were like, oh yeah, it's only 5 girls this time around, it means there'll be more time for character development, and it might be a more interesting watch. Well, in the first episode, they immediately introduced 4 more girls.
Oh, there you go.
And because I guess we have to maintain the status quo of 9 characters, because shut up, that's why. Mm-hmm. It's Love Live. It's more of the same. At this point, I have given up on reviewing the show, because, it's just a feel-good girls, uplifting girls show. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I still enjoy watching it, but it's hard to say it's hard to say anything new about it after Love Live Sunshine, because it strove to do something so different with its ending, and man, it still hits me when I think about it. Oof.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Love Live Superstar is back. All the girls are great for different reasons, and of course I will watch it, and I will watch whatever the next one is that comes after that, because it's already in pre-production. And the last
you have to line these things up in advance.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, I think they announced Superstar before Nichigaku, and then they announced Nichigaku while they were still working on Superstar, and everyone was like, guys,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is the cycle of idol life, I guess. And my last keeper, it shouldn't be a keeper, but I have to know how much stupider it gets. It's Rent-A-Girlfriend.
Of course it is. I should have known.
Kazuya is still a big, stupid idiot, but I don't know. There's something about this story that's kind of grabbed hold of me. Who's the best girl? I don't know. It's either Chizuru or Ruka. They're both great for different reasons. Fight me in the comment section. There's very strong opinions on the internet of who the best girl is in this show in particular, but it's
that's the main
rom-com trash.
I mean, it's the main character's problem anyway, right? Like, he can't decide either because he likes both of them, and that's where the whole problem comes in.
Well, he had gone so far as to say that he is in love with Chizuru, but Ruka is under the impression that he is her girlfriend, and he's definitely attracted to her, but he's like, no, I have these feelings for Chizuru, but it's complicated.
Yes, hashtag complicated, got it.
Yes. And it's stupid, but I don't hate it because the production values are there and the character writing is at least somewhat interesting. I still want to know exactly what Ruka's deal is because there's something with her.
Okay, maybe you'll find out.
I hope that is the case. But, it's... I guess I'm in it for the long haul at this point.
Okay, 1 second. I'll put that in the contract as well.
No.
All right, it's in. Okay.
No.
Love life and random girlfriend.
No. Oh no. Can we? Let's write Data Live in there too. I guess at this point.
Sure thing.
Data Live, Love Live. Live Alive, Xbox Live!
All right. And with that, we are going live with our first review from the previous season, and that will happen in a moment.
Everyone has a part of themselves they cannot show to anyone else. At a time when all the nations of the world were involved in a fierce war of information happening behind closed doors, Ostania and Westalis had been in a state of cold war against one another for decades. The Westalis Intelligence Service's Eastern Focus Division, WISE, sends their most talented spy, Twilight, on a top-secret mission to investigate the movements of Donovan Desmond, the chairman of Ostania's National Unity Party, who is threatening peace efforts between the two nations. This mission is known as Operation Strix. It consists of putting together a family in 1 week in order to infiltrate social gatherings organized by the elite school that Desmond's son attends. Twilight takes on the identity of psychiatrist Lloyd Forger and starts looking for family members, but Anya, the daughter he adopts, turns out to have the ability to read people's minds, while his wife Yor is an assassin. With it being in each of their own interests to keep these facts hidden, they start living together while concealing their true identities from one another. World peace is now in the hands of this brand new family as they embark on an adventure full of surprises. Thus is the premise of Spy Family.
The big hit show for this season. And apologize in advance, I haven't done any notes on this. I mean, I have done notes, but I haven't really written them out. Because, full disclosure, I had a bit of a small surgery and I can't spend that much time at my desk. So, we'll have to deal with what we have. And, so this is a long-awaited adaptation, I guess. I don't even know how long. I don't know when the manga originally came out. I guess kind of long. The manga has been around since March 2019. And now we got this 12 episodes even of anime, because though it's a split core, I think the second core will come in fall season. I think it has already been announced, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty sure it's slated for October.
Yes, so there's that. And yeah, John just told you what it's about. It's about the spy Twilight, who later, or pretty quickly in the first episode, takes on the name Lloyd Forger, which, considering that he's all about secrecy and a good cover identity, why would you put the word forger in your last name?
only slightly on the nose?
John, just, in general, over the course of this series, I got the impression that Lloyd is not necessarily as good of a spy as the show's trying making him out to be.
I mean, that could be the case, or it's just that this particular mission has thrown him for such a loop. Maybe,
yes, he's definitely having some problems adjusting with the new demands this mission has, like especially a lot of the human interaction with kids, with a pretend wife and everything. So he's not familiar with that. And yeah, so that's basically what he has to do. He has to get into this prestigious academy, or, that's the plan. Anyway, adopt a kid, kinda, that you can put into that academy, then let that kid make friends with the son of this Desmond guy, and then basically get close to him through that, and establish contact and whatever, and stop war from happening, whatever that might look like. But for that, he needs a kid. So he goes to the local orphanage and gets a child called Anya, who has been adopted several times by families and always given back, which is very sad in itself. But there's a reason for that, because she is a telepath. She apparently was subject to some shady government experiments and is an Esper or whatever. I don't know if she was always an Esper or because that came through the experiments. I'm not sure anymore. But she can read minds, and she reads Lloyd's mind and thus knows what he wants from her and acts accordingly, so he will keep her. And, she can stay his daughter, because she immediately finds out that he's a spy, and she's a major fan of that one spy anime where the main character is called Bondman. Really good. The theme of the show is very much fake it till you make it. Because Anya is doing that, Lloyd is doing that, his later pretend wife is doing that. Like, everyone is just pretending to be someone they are not. And that is where most of the fun of the show comes from. And kind of a drama, though there's not necessarily that much drama in there. I mean, there are some moments where it's like, oh, it's looking bad for Lloyd, it's looking bad for Anya for one reason or another, because maybe she flunked her exam, or she has trouble with bullies or whatever. But usually most of it's very light. It's a very comedy-heavy show. I laughed a lot in the show. John, did you as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This show, it has no shortage of shenanigans and or hijinks.
Absolutely. And most of that is derived from Anya, which is like this cute little gremlin with the best smirk in anime history, maybe?
That stupid, just face that she always makes.
Yeah, it's very great. I thought she had probably the funniest scenes, and the other characters reacting to her, and she reacted to them and everything, because she could read their minds and stuff like that, and was kind of put off by something she read in there. But that also, of course, brings some problems, because she's very focused on reading people's minds, and sometimes that distracts her from some of the stuff she should be concentrating on to actually succeed in whatever she has to do. She has also a problem in big crowds, because she can't really block all the stray thoughts invading her brain. So that gives her a bit of trouble. And she's definitely not world savvy. Like, she has not been out of the orphanage a lot, and that shows. Like she has a bit of trouble adjusting to certain things and to finding out how they work and everything, but that's also fun. And you see like these sparkles around her head every time she uses her Esper powers, just to give you a clue, which is a neat idea. I don't know if I've seen this before, but it's a nice way of conveying that.
It's funny because when she gets excited, she sort of says waku waku to herself. And it's just this funny little character trait that carries on all throughout.
Yeah, so she has to infiltrate the school and needs to learn a lot of new stuff from that, needs to get good at the basic school things, like math and everything. But she also, Lloyd kind of wants her to make friends with the son of the Desmond guy. His son's name is Damien, of course it is.
Of course.
Yes. And problem is he's a bit of a stuck-up brat. He's a bit of a dick, and he has like his two stooges with him, of course, and he's a bit of a bully, and Anya definitely doesn't want to deal with that.
Do you blame her?
No, it's really cool, and the problem is she has to get like also these merit badges, these stellas, and there are also unmerit badges like these thunderbolts, and she of course gets one of those when she decks Damien, like punches him right in the face, which is a really cool scene because she actually has the foresight to actually look if the teacher is looking, and when the teacher looks away, she just fucking punches Damien in the face. I was like, holy shit, that girl is good.
She's thinking it out.
Yeah, it doesn't really help her though, if it wasn't for one of the housemasters being on her side, kind of. But it's really funny. Like, she's very adept when it comes to quick thinking. Like, she's very... Some of the stuff, you're surprised where she's very capable of thinking on the fly and trying to improve the situation for her. So, that doesn't always work out, but she's a quick thinker. So that's probably one of her strong suits, because everything else she's kind of bad at overall. Like, everything the school kind of demands of her, she's not really good at. So that's definitely one of the good things. And also, she knows what's right and what's wrong mostly, and overall she's a good kid. Most of the season is about her, really. It's about her finding her way, finding her footing in the school, finding a friend in the form of Becky and everything. And that's kind of the main focus of this first season. We get also introduced to Lloyd, of course, and to Yor. But most of the focus is on Anya this season. I expected there to be some, I don't know, side missions during some of the episodes where Lloyd gets to do some spy shit and Yor gets to do some assassin shit. But that doesn't really happen aside from the introductory episode. In the very last episode, there's a bit where Lloyd has to procure something, microfilm or whatever from a penguin, whatever. But aside from that, the focus is really on getting Anya into the school. And that's kind of what most of the season is revolving around. John, did you have any problems with that? Were your expectations a bit different? Did you feel disappointed in some things?
I mean, yeah, I kind of expected to see more of Lloyd doing stuff and maybe Yor going out and taking a few heads, as it were. Mm. But I think there's some implication that Lloyd does go out to do some stuff like off screen a couple of times.
Yes. In the last episode, he mentions that. That's why he's so fucking exhausted, because they unload all of the extra missions on him for some reason. And it's like, oh, that's okay, I get it, but maybe show some of them? That's interesting. I mean, I get why you focus on Anya, because that's like kind of the main drive of this plot, like getting her to know Damien, who of course falls for her at some point because she's the one who stands up to him, kind of. But whatever, that's the main focus of getting her there. That's what needs to happen. So I don't know if the manga has more side stuff with Lloyd, but it is not as even. The screen time is not necessarily. I guess the screen time is evenly distributed because, Lloyd still hangs around in the school sometimes and spies on Anya and shit and tries to help her out. Mm. And, Yor does some other stuff. But it's not really, it doesn't feel like there's any important things happening outside of the school and keeping the family charade alive. That's the other big plot, of course. Mm. It's like, hey, we have to sell everyone on us being an actual family, like Lloyd already being married a year to Yor, and Anya actually being his kid and everything. And that's, of course, not only to the people in the school, but also to their neighbors, to Yor's little brother, which is a great episode. And her colleagues and everyone. So, that's the other big part of the show, like setting up this pretend family. And of course, them growing also closer and becoming a real family through that unexpectedly. I mean, very expectedly, but for them, unexpectedly. So that's kind of what this first season is about. I mean, it's in the title, right? It's spy family.
Yeah.
So family is a big aspect of that. And the spy part is mostly Anya just being in a school, though she does not really do that much spying stuff yet. It's unless, you want to say that she spies into the minds of the other people and tries to get closer to Damien, I guess. But that's kind of it. Aside from that, Most of the other stuff is relegated to the first couple of episodes and the last episode, where it's like you see some Lloyd actually doing some spy stuff. You see Yor actually doing some killing and how they meet up, and then them beating some bad guys together, and then like deciding, I would like to pretend to marry someone so I don't seem suspicious to the government because I'm still a single lady, which is really okay. All right, that's its own kind of baggage, I guess.
So, before I left my last job, I was talking with one of the girls, and she had been watching Spy Family as well, and she enjoyed it. But she kind of brought up this thing like, don't you feel like Yor's role and mentality is a little bit like
it's backwards in terms of what she wants from her life? Or
yeah, maybe, yeah, just because she wants to go on doing the killing thing, but she's also worried about having to settle down, and that's a kind of a weird trope that runs through all of anime anyway.
Yes.
That I'm not 100% keen on.
Yeah, me neither. And it's gotten worse since, the initiatives from Shinzo Abe's party, where it's like, hey, we need to convince the people who watch anime to get kids.
Like, I didn't mention it during a sneak peek talking about Lycoris Recoil, but there's a character in there like that, and it's sort of like,
yeah. And it's in here too. It's not as dominant, I guess, but it's in that specific plot point. Like, that's the reason. I mean, that's the reason they give, or that's the reason that Yor states why she wants to have this fake engagement with Lloyd. It's not true. It's kind of true. She wants to stay unsuspicious, but also the main reason is not because she doesn't get captured, but she wants to stay unsuspicious because she wants to keep doing her job of killing people. So it's not she's afraid of being like captured for being single. She is afraid of raising any suspicion while killing people. So
I mean, I guess on that front, okay, but
yes. And for Lloyd, it's obvious, he needs to explain, single dad with daughter, maybe, I don't know, it's also weird in this country, but whatever. But he needs Yor because that's one of the demands from the rules from the school, that both parents need to attend meetings in the school and whatever. No single parents allowed, which, fuck that school.
What if your significant other passes away? What are you going to do? They're going to be like, get married and come back later. It's like, come on, man.
That's an exception, but I think they only accept married couple. Like, if you have divorced or something, you are not allowed to get your kid. And I don't fucking know. It's weird. It's like this very traditional, very old school, very stiff school.
What if you're gay or lesbian?
Oh, we don't talk about that in this school.
We don't talk about that in anime. Oh, no.
On the curriculum. But, in general, it's a weird school. Like, would you leave
an anime school?
Yeah, but would you leave your kids at a school where, like, farm animals can break out and trample your children to death?
Probably not.
Yeah, so why is it so renowned if shit like that can happen? It's like...
Shut up, don't worry about it.
Yeah, at first I thought it was like, maybe some from a rivaling spy organization did that because they wanted to kill one of the kids in the school, and maybe they will get back to that, and that actually was the case. But so far it looks like it was an actual accident. It was like, what? How did you let that happen? That is not okay.
No, it's fine.
Though it leads to some funny stuff, like how did Lloyd and Yor change their outfits elegantly in the middle of the school grounds? Like, what?
Twice.
2 times.
Twice.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
It's a good thing I brought this pair of backup clothes. It's a good thing I brought this pair of backup clothes.
Yes.
The man is prepared, if nothing else.
And leaves a very good impression with that on one of the school housemasters, Henry Henderson.
Also, what a name.
Yes, there are great names in there. But yeah, he's fantastic scene. He's complaining about the lack of elegance of the new prospect attendants of the school when looking out of the window. And when we look out the window, we see an ugly CGI crowd juddering by. I totally agree with you, my man. There is a lack of elegance here. Luckily, there is not that much CG in here.
I think
the show is
the extent of it.
Yeah, it's just these mass crowd scenes. That's where they use it on, and that's pretty much it, I think. Maybe some vehicles, but I don't think so. And the studio, the anime is produced by, it's a co-production by Studio Wit and Cloverworks. So, capable studios, at least when it comes to animation, I guess, now anyway. And, Wit also usually has good writers at hand, but Cloverworks, we all know how Promised Neverland Season 2 turned out, so I don't hope that repeats with Season 2 of this. We'll see.
I sincerely hope not, because I did enjoy this show.
Yes, me also a lot. Like I said, there were some parts and there was like, oh, I expected a bit more of that, but everything that was in there was fun. Like even there was even some good emotional stuff in there, was when you feel like, oh, nice, they're growing as a family and everything. So that's cute. I mean, there was also some, stereotypical stuff in there, like we already mentioned with the, oh, what, you're still single, and that can't be right, and yours brother being a ciscon, and she not being able to kiss Lloyd, because they're both professionals. Come on, like,
But
I'm buying
is
that.
A whole new thing.
Yeah, I'm buying that with, if they're like normal people, but one is an assassin, a cold-hearted, kind of quote-unquote cold-hearted assassin, and the other one is a super spy. So you're trying to tell me they're not able to fucking kiss, just a single fucking kiss, because the brother demands it? Just to keep up the charade, they're not professional enough for that. That's ridiculous. Like, that's where my suspense of disbelief ends.
But then when they go in to do it, Yuri is like, "What are you doing?"
Well, yeah, I can't watch this. And then she smacks him. She was about to smack Lloyd, even though she was forcing herself on him. That is so peak anime bullshit. I'm like, what the fuck? Thankfully she smacks her brother, who has had it coming, I guess. But that's just so, that's the stuff where I was like, keep that out of this show.
Meanwhile, Anya is sleeping in the next room, and she barely stirs from her sleep, which I think is the funniest part of all of that.
Yes, she has a very deep sleep, sometimes in class. I can relate. So... Yes, that kid is sympathetic to me, which is not a given. I mean, with anime kids more than with real life kids. And it was fun that Lloyd in the beginning says he hates crying kids because it reminds him of his own fucked up childhood, where it's like, oh, that's interesting. We'll probably maybe learn more about that in the future. So there's already some stuff hinted here at the character's past, and we already saw more about Yor's childhood and her relationship to her brother and everything, but not really much about Lloyd's childhood. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I thought Lloyd was a cool character who is actually, in my opinion, a terrible spy. Like, constantly drawing attention to himself, doesn't notice that his fake wife is obsessed with everything related to killing. Doesn't realize that his fake daughter knows way too much, like knows things she can't know without reading someone's mind. I mean, I don't know how common weird science experiments are in this world, but, maybe just ask her, like test her, like think something, and then watch if because she blabs out often enough accidentally a response to what he is thinking. He just doesn't really react to it in a way you would expect a man with a brain would.
Well, she's also, how old is she, 6, 7?
Yes, she's 6, I think.
So, kids that age just say whatever. So I guess on that front, I can be like, okay.
Yeah, I get it.
But when it starts to form a pattern,
yes,
maybe
it happens a lot.
Kind of,
In the penultimate episode, she rescues a child because she hears his thoughts while he's drowning. And she says that to Lloyd. And then she changes it up so it makes sense for a child to say that. But she said the thing before. And then Lloyd actually sees that there was a kid drowning. So as a responsible parent and also as a super spy, I would have some questions. It's just
fine,
like,
don't worry about it.
Okay, sure. So that's as a viewer, that's where you need some suspense of disbelief. But since this is mostly a comedy and not a serious drama or anything, at least not yet, that's fine. It's like, okay, you have to do it that way, otherwise you can't keep the show going. But I expect them to like solve this mystery at some point. I expect once Anya is comfortable enough. Right now she doesn't tell Lloyd because she's afraid he will give her away, because that's what the previous families did. When they got a suspicion that something is weird with her, they gave her back to the orphanage again. And that's her past baggage.
And I mean, she's kind of used that talent to help out Lloyd and Yor in certain situations and, sort of speak around certain things to give them clues. Man, the most ironic thing is, if Lloyd knew that she could read minds, he would be overjoyed. He would have just read her Damien's mind, try to get into a parents meeting, whatever, in school, and then have her read Desmond's mind or whatever. I mean, that would also be an interesting point of drama, where it's like he would start using her more as a tool, and that would make her sad and everything, and he would have to reconcile with that and be like, oh shit, I'm being an asshole. What am I doing? She's a human being. And that would be interesting. I would love to see that. So I hope that's kind of coming down the line. But right now, it's just like you have like this gold mine of information in front of you, and you don't know it. Like a gift to every spy, and you don't fucking realize it. You're not good at your job, Lloyd. Oh no.
But yeah, it's funny. It's very funny, especially when it's, when some of her responses like make him go off balance. So, but yeah, we get some other characters. Of course, Yor, right, who is an assassin, and she is working as a cover in City Hall, I think, at City Hall.
Yeah, it's some sort of clerical job. Her
colleagues are all assholes. Well, not all. I guess not necessarily assholes. Camilla is an asshole.
They're all very gossipy.
Yeah, so are their neighbors. Like, how? None of this is your business. Like, shut the fuck up. When Lloyd was worried that he would need to keep up appearances of being a functional married couple to the neighbors, that doesn't...
Who cares?
That doesn't concern them. Let those fucking old hag busybodies say whatever the fuck they want. Fucking can't deal with these kind of assholes.
Yeah,
anyway.
For real, though.
Yes. So, yeah, it is nice when at least some of these characters who are assholes get their comeuppance, especially one of the housemasters, Malcolm Swan, who's an absolute piece of shit and likes to jab at people who seem to have a happy relationship, even if it's a fake one, because he apparently sucked at keeping his own alive. I had a teacher like that, and boy, is it satisfying when, Henry Henderson, the cool housemaster, just decks him elegantly, of course.
Yeah, of course it's elegant.
Yes. So most of the characters at some point who deserve it get what they have coming. So that's neat. And fun characters overall. There's a dodgeball game with a 6-year-old that looks like a 30-year-old and sounds like a 30-year-old. And
yeah, what?
Suddenly the show turns into the greatest sports anime that never was. And we got a neat Dragon Ball reference and everything in there. It's crazy stuff. That I love that episode. That was fantastic. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. And Yor, like I said, she works in City Hall, and she's a bit of a ditz, considering that she's like this master assassin. I
guess when she goes into assassin mode, the switch gets flipped.
Yes, exactly. But she says herself that she's not particularly good at anything except for killing people, which she doesn't disclose to anyone, and keeping the house clean, I guess.
I mean, just the clips of her coming home to her little brother covered in blood. Don't worry about it. Shut up.
Mm-hmm. And she can't hold her liquor.
Not at all.
Not the whole family can't, but yeah, it's funny. We got these characters, and they're trying to make this makeshift family work, and it's a bit of grooving themselves into that, and then mostly the school stuff with Anya, and we have some weird one-off episodes. So Anya, as a reward for something, she gets like this made-up spy mission where she needs to be rescued from Frankie, one of the assistants, the information peddler for Lloyd, who poses for her as the bad guy. Like, it's set up like her favorite spy show. And Lloyd has to be Bond Man, or Lloyd Man in this case, and save her in this kind of theme parky environment. And it's really cute, and it's really funny, because he also has to answer questions about her, and which brings him also closer to know what she's thinking and everything. And that's also probably the best animated episode, aside from the dodgeball one, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Great action scenes, and nothing involves actually shooting bad guys and everything, but it's really good looking. And then we have like this nice hand-to-hand fight between Lloyd and drunk Yor at the end of the episode, and that's maybe a harbinger of things to come. Maybe, they might be. We still don't know what Yor's current mission is. Like, who is she? She says she's killing people, but we don't know who her contractors are. We're like, who is the main guy who gives her these missions? Maybe she and Lloyd will clash at some point, because she's supposed to assassinate Desmond. I would expect that to happen. And I think Lloyd's mission is to talk to him and sway him to one direction. I don't know if is he supposed to take out Desmond? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think he's supposed to establish relations and then stop this war from happening with him in some regards or not, because Desmond is an influential figure in the government. And so what I think might happen is that Yor gets the contract to killing Desmond, and then they have to fight each other. So that's going to be interesting. And of course, not to forget, her brother Yurei is he's a member of the secret police. So basically the Stasi of East Germany. And he's trying to... Lloyd has already figured out that Yurei is that, but Yurei hasn't figured out yet that the marriage is a sham and whatever is a scam. And so that's a constant threat on the side. So far only in one episode, but that will come up again for sure. And so, these are all the things, all the gears that are turning on the side, and all the problems that Lloyd has to face and has to adapt to. And at least in that regard, he is good at his job. Like, when a problem like that arises, he tries to find a quick fix to deflate the situation, the problem situation, something like that. But, sometimes he doesn't have the full picture. He doesn't get, while Yor is so flustered when they talk about certain things, so he suspects her of also maybe trying to spy on him for a while and stuff like that. But that's not the case. She just doesn't handle herself well in that new relationship environment. So that's, again, fun part, misunderstandings, but fun misunderstandings, I guess, because they don't go too overboard with it most of the time. And sometimes Anya is there to be the communicational glue, because she can read both people's minds and can make them understand each other by dropping certain hints so that they get it. And that's neat. Like I said, in certain parts, she's a quicker thinker than her fake dad. So that's neat. And that's our main crew. And like I said, we have a bunch of other fun characters. And so far, this is kind of mostly a comedy and a bit of intrigue and spy stuff on the side. And it's a cool show. It's very fun. There's a reason why it was highly anticipated. It was a giant hit. Like, I think it made it to certain lists of Western big media, whatever, where the numbers show up, whatever. Spy Family was around there. Big TV ratings, whatever. And everyone was, who was Spy Family? And they checked it out. So apparently that show is on a lot of people's radar now. And I'm glad for that. That means we're probably gonna have a lot more of it.
Yeah, one of our friends who doesn't watch a whole lot of anime was spurred on to watch this by his girlfriend. He's really enjoying it too, which is, that's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very accessible show too. Like, it's not one of those anime where like, okay, who can I gift it to? No, this is one of those shows. That's like what one would like to call a gateway drug.
Gateway entry level, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely. You can give that kind of to anyone who is not put off by animation, and it works. It works for kids, probably, maybe because of Anya's shenanigans, but it also works for adults because of all the fun family comedy and drama, and for parents, probably, especially. So yeah, this is a show for everyone. Like everyone, you can recommend it to everyone, and everyone can watch it. I don't feel like there's anything in there that would make some people turn away. Maybe for some people the comedy is too goofy or whatever, or there's too much focus on the school stuff and the little kids. Maybe, but then again, that's also not my cup of tea usually, and I wasn't put off by this show. So this works on many levels. It's super fun. There's a lot of unexpected cool action in there. There's a great ED. Not so much. I did like, John, what did you think about the OP of this show? I wasn't
super into it, but yeah, I mean the style and the animation on the opening are really good. Just the song, I was kind of the ending song I liked a lot better.
Yeah, the ending song and the ending animation were great. The opening song is a bit too busy for my tastes.
Maybe
like there's too much going on.
Maybe it would be better for the next core,
Yeah, we'll see.
Better or different,
Sure. I'm interested to see. But yeah, the soundtrack of the show itself is great.
It was Shuhei Mutsuki and Makoto Miyazaki, who are part of a group called No Name. And I've seen that name a lot, or a few times at least. So, they did music.
Yeah, they worked on One Punch Man, apparently, which also had a good soundtrack.
And they did a couple songs for Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans and some other stuff in there as well. So,
yes, they're also working on Lycoris Recoil, apparently, as well right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I had last seen their name.
So there you go. So yeah, good music overall and great direction. Like I said, quickly paced episode. None of these drag. There's a lot of shit happening, but it never feels like you're missing any important beats. And yeah, the director is the same as for Dororo, which we reviewed, Kazuhiro Furuhashi, and that was also a great show. Has done a lot of other stuff as well, but yeah, this is again one of the great ones here in terms of direction as well. And yeah, it's fun. It's a fun show. It's a fun action / family comedy. And with some spy stuff in there and some science fiction stuff, I guess, in there in terms of being able to read minds and cute kid shenanigans and whatever. So, yeah, really not anything more to say about this without going too heavily into spoilers, although plot-wise there's not much to spoil about the show yet.
Yeah, it was a lot of setup for the next part of the show, to be honest.
There's some fun developments, I guess, in... when it comes to getting her into school and what happens to her and everything, but I think we've taken some of that away. But it's not like there are some huge mysteries that linger for a long time and get resolved at the end of the episode and are like this huge spoiler thing. Like I said, I assume there will be some stuff related to Lloyd's youth, maybe, and probably who's gonna be the next important contractor for Yor or whatever. And maybe, I mean, the big thing we learn about her brother happens when we get introduced to her brother, so that's also not really much of a spoiler. And yeah, if you want to watch it, it's on everything really, as by the looks of it. Like for us, probably mostly Crunchyroll, but also Hulu in some countries, Amazon Prime in some other countries, and services I've never heard of.
It's on Netflix and other places.
Yes, you will probably find it somewhere on some streaming service, on Disney Plus and others. So it's everywhere. You'll figure it out. It's a fun show. If anything, what we talked about here sounds enticing to you, check it out. I would highly recommend it. Like I said, it's a show for everyone, and you can't really go wrong. Good looking show, good sounding show, funny show, great characters, and yeah, it's a fun time. And John, it seems you agree.
Oh yeah, it's great all around, and definitely worth checking out. Like you said, this is a show that anyone and everyone can watch, so definitely check it out.
And that is a wrap on the 131st episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Our show is available on most of the popular podcast services, but it's always worth visiting animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Leave us comments and questions on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at AnyBrainFreeze, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in, we hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. It's good?
So long, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
The deadliest game. Golf!
And it's time to hit the streets on Halloween night and party like it's the year 234.